G'day there, it's Simon Harris from Providence Property, and what I'm going to take you through today is some really important concepts that we know as Tax Freedom Day and Mortgage Freedom Day. So, how would you feel if you walked into work on Monday and your boss told you that from now on you continue to work the full week as always, but we don't pay you for Monday and Tuesday. We only pay you for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Would that feel good? Is that a company that you'd stay working at? Because that is exactly the experience for most Australians and what most Australians are doing right now. Mondays and Tuesdays, they're working for the government. So what exactly is Tax Freedom Day? Tax Freedom Day is the date of the year that represents how many days we work for the tax man before we earn for ourselves. It represents total taxes collected by all three levels of government, so councils, states and federal taxes. It includes all indirect taxes like GST, because there's a lot more hidden taxes than you realise. There's taxes on alcohol, tobacco, clothing, footwear, customs, there's luxury car taxes, and the average taxpayer ends up paying about 2/3 more tax than they pay through their income tax alone. And those figures are according to Deloitte Access Economics. So let's take a look at the specifics of Tax Freedom Day. The disturbing thing about Tax Freedom Day is that the results over the last 50 years show that it's actually getting worse. So you can see here that in 2016 you had to work until the 9th of May to pay all your taxes. In 2017 it was the 13th of May, and so you'll notice that it actually pushed out by an extra 4 days. So how do Aussies compare with the rest of the world? So you can see in the US, Tax Freedom Day is the 24th of April. In the UK, it's actually pretty similar to Australia. It's the 8th of May. In France, it's the 29th of July, and in Belgium, it's the 6th of August. Now, most other European Union countries, it's early June on average. Now, the reason Tax Freedom Day is so important is because taxes are in fact your biggest expense, and the wealthy reduce tax and they find ways to convert tax to wealth accumulation, and this is part of the very, very important work that we do with our Providence clients. So now that you know what Tax Freedom Day is, what is Mortgage Freedom Day? Well, most of us are paying a mortgage on our own home. So if you're paying a mortgage, you actually spend most of the year working to pay your taxes and the bank. How much of the year? Let's take a look and find out. So the ABS reported that 25.1% of household income is used for mortgage repayments. Those were 2017 figures. Now Moody's reported the figure was 27%. So let's take the more conservative number, the ABS number of 25.1%. So if it's a quarter of your yearly earnings, what that means is from January to the end of March, on average, all of your pay, or all of the average Australians' pay, goes to pay their mortgage. Let's take a look at this slide. There's a lot of data there. So if Tax Freedom Day in Australia is the 13th of May, and we add to it the average mortgage repayment, which is approximately 25% of yearly earnings, or 3 months of the year, what we see is that in Australia, most Australians work until the 13th of August to pay their taxes and their mortgage, and they start paying themselves in the second week of August. That's week 32 of a 52-week year, which is around 62% of the way through the year. Now you can see that on a weekly basis what this looks like is that you start earning for yourself on Thursday morning. Mondays and Tuesdays are for taxes. There's a bit for the bank on Tuesday as well. Wednesday is for the bank for the mortgage, and Thursday and Friday are for you. Now this is the current plan for most people, for most Australians. Can you get wealthy on that plan? The answer is unequivocally no. And the work that we do, well, certainly part of the very important work that we do, is we help our clients create a better plan for this. Now, what I mean by that is that we help them change Tax Freedom Day and move it earlier into the year for themselves. We help them move Mortgage Freedom Day earlier into the year for themselves. So the rest of Australia exists within a certain Tax and Mortgage Freedom Day ecosystem. And what we do with our clients is we move them out of that ecosystem and we work with them to create their own ecosystem that's more advantageous for them, that moves Tax Freedom Day and Mortgage Freedom Day earlier in the year for themselves, so they are better off financially. So have a think about these important concepts, Tax Freedom Day, Mortgage Freedom Day, and if you'd like us to explore them personally with you and how we can help you move these earlier in the year for your benefit, please contact us. Thanks for listening. We wish you all the best, great investing, and we'd love to hear from you. Bye for now.